Well, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Donna Hopkins and Tony McGee in the Minute. We're not gangsters, but we'll take you for a ride. This week, we'll talk a little bit about this Washington Commander football team and what are they doing right. OTAs are coming up, Donna, but you got a special guest that you're talking about how we ride and what we listen to.
Yeah, Tony, we've got Yvette Gagnon coming up shortly. She's going to talk about her book, and she's written quite a few books. But, you know, the first thing is that she was our photographer of the Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus show for some years and everything. And she was great at taking pictures, you know, and helping us out there. So she's got a double talent that we'll be talking about a little bit. But Tony, let's go back to the Washington Commanders and their OTAs that they're going to have this week. You know, I know Washington got the new quarterback in Carson Wentz, and then they've got their draft picks that's going to be intertwined with the veterans this week.
Well, that'll be very important, especially for Wentz, because right now he needs to work with this team. The team needs to get to know him. When I played, we didn't really have OTAs the way they have them now. What we did was we had to do it on our own. Now what they're doing is getting the team prepared for the new players, and they're playing together. Carson Wentz, this is his last chance probably to be a lead quarterback in this league. So it's very important. And then they have to get him involved into the offense and get this thing rolling so the rest of the off season they can prepare and get better. So important right now. I think that really now they've made football a year-round sport. And so it was going that way when we played, but that was a while back. Now it is that way. But they pay them to be a year-round sport. And I think that it's very important, those OTAs for the offseason and for any time.
Tony, what are you going to find out most about this? This is just like a day or so to get together with the veterans and have the draft picks there with the veterans. Are you going to find out a lot, or is this just the beginning of learning the playbook?
You're going to find out how they're feeling, A, about the players that's gone. B, is their unit getting better? Now, you take just as their defensive line. You draft another defensive lineman, you already got 4 number ones. You got 2 people fighting. So they got to see if these guys can play together. They already feel like they can't. That's why they drafted someone in the second round. Somebody has to go on there. Wide receivers, you got a new wide receiver in there, and these people got to learn how to feel each other, what Wentz going to do. But before that can even happen, can this offensive line improve themselves? You have a running game? It's so many questions right now, so many things that need to be answered before you can really start and being motivated to get better doing these OTAs. So it's a lot right now. A lot is on the line. And a lot will be responsible for how this team goes this year.
That's scary, Tony, because you said there's a lot of questions. I'm the one normally saying that there's a lot of questions pertaining to this team. You're kind of like even keel and everything, but you done jumped on my wagon, I see.
Oh, I ain't on your wagon. I'm just trying to let people know that I want you to be right sometime.
No, you know I'm right. Hey, fans, people jumped on my wagon.
You do. And you're right at this point. It's so many changes that have been made, and there's so much improvement that needs to be made. And one thing about it is it has to start now. We can't wait to the beginning of the season. We can't wait to this. You got to get your draft picks in. You got an idea who you're going to keep. But now you got to see if that flow with them. Just like you and I took you in. You was wrong on a lot of things, and I still kept you. You've been 20-some years, and I still had to school you.
I had to come in so that I can educate you, so I can talk about my sources, because nobody would talk to you, Tony. But before we bring Yvette in, Tony, this is a stamp year for this whole team, for Ron Rivera, for the offensive coordinator, for the defensive coordinator. If this doesn't go right for this team, will there be some changes along the coaching of all? Is this Ron Rivera's main year to get it right?
Well, you look at it, it's been things going on, and it's transpired in the past. But right now, this is a clean slate. You got a clean slate of players. It's a big year, not just for the coaches and the players, for the organization. There's a lot of things going on. Everything had to come in the flow to really, when you go to a Super Bowl, usually the organization, the ownership, and the players are all working together towards a single goal. Right now, you got three entities that's trying to really get themselves and get to know each other, see how they can go forward, see how they can clean up anything that went wrong. So it's very important, not just for the coach. It's important for the players, important for the organization. And what they have to do is start that right now. You can't wait until training camp anymore. And really, if you look back at it, Donna, this is where it hated. When I played, we had 6 weeks and 2 a day. Now you got a couple of weeks. You can't hit this. You can't do that. So this team really are a bunch of young people that have to learn how to play together. And an organization that had to clean it up.
Well, Tony said they got to learn how to play together and they got to clean it up. And you know what? We just wanted to give you a little tab of what's going to happen this week with the OTAs. But now we're going to bring in Yvette, our former photographer. Who knows? Tony may bring her back. But we want to talk about what she's doing these days. And so, Tony, we're going to move on to the book because you didn't give them much information as far as football-wise.
Oh, listen to you. You wrote down everything I said so you can try to memorize it. You didn't have you thought we talking basketball until I said something about the football.
Well, it is the NBA.
How you doing?
It is the NBA finals and everything. But Yvette, welcome back to the show. As far as our new show, Tony and I are kicking around in the minute. And so welcome back for years. You did, you did the photography for Tony McGee's Pro
6
Football
years.
Plus. Yeah, 6 years. Wow. But how did it all come about as far as the connection?
We met at a charity event for Tori Nelson. And
who is Tori Nelson?
Pro boxer and a friend of mine. And we were doing a fundraiser. She was doing a fundraiser for dogs. And I was taking photos of her boxing Ken Harvey. And Tony kept tapping me and asking me if I shot video and if I would like to work on his show. I had no idea who he was, but I love doing what I do. And I said, sure. So he gave me the email address. I sent him the pictures I took along with some video that someone else took. 3.5 weeks later, he asked me if I would like to, he said his producer needed another photographer at the games. And I said, Redskins. And he said, yeah, like that's a phone call a person gets every day. Right.
Hey, we were just trying to get it done, Yvette.
Hey, Tony, all I know is she said that you tapped her on the shoulder and she didn't know who you were.
Yep, I didn't. And I said, but immediately I trusted him and it was best decision I made. 6 years we were strong, so yeah, I mean, if there's ever an opportunity to come back and photograph for you, I would love it. I would jump to that for sure.
Okay, all of you fans, I want you heard her say that we're going to get her back some kind of way this year, but right now you're doing something different and you're doing it in a different way, and kind of explain it to us what's happening.
So I just published it's technically my 4th book, but my 2nd full-length book. And it's called Quber Wisdom. It's about the last 5 years of me doing rideshare. And I actually did do rideshare 5 years ago at the game. And that was crazy because there were so many people trying to get a ride. It took me 2 hours to pick up my first rider once the game had ended. And it was like 20 degrees. They were huddled in a bus, those bus stops with the benches. They were huddled on that and they thought that they were never going to get a ride. But somehow we got them home and that was amazing. Yeah, that was amazing.
Well, you got Quber, you got Uber, you got Lyft. What's the difference between Quber?
Well, Quber is actually, I didn't want to use the word Uber for obvious reasons, but I liked what it stands for because Uber means like an abundance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. So I looked up what was comparable to it and the word Quber popped up. And a definition I found for it was, it says it enhances the word that follows. And who couldn't use an enhancement of wisdom right now? So that is is how I got the title.
Well, tell us this. Explain to us, ourselves and the fans, a lot of conversations going. What is some of your more interesting things? And tell them why this book is intriguing and they need to get this book.
Okay. So, yeah, we definitely have conversations in the car. People open up and they feel safe. And it's important to get a person to feel comfortable and safe with you. And if they don't, it's also important to know when to back off, right? And but I've had it's like the new bartender, and where it's easier to tell a stranger what's bothering you. I've had people talk about suicide and talk about some sexual abuse against them, and they just needed a safe place. The reason that I would suggest buying this book and reading it is because I put some practical tips in there, like always checking the license plate before you get into a ride share, because I have had many people get in my car thinking I was their rideshare driver and I wasn't. And that is scary. And I've told them, I said, it's a good thing I'm a nice person and don't want to hurt you, because you made it very easy for me to hurt you if I wanted to. And they would go pale. And I'm like, please check the license plate, because that is the most important way to match up your driver with you.
Now, have you had anybody in with you that you felt very uncomfortable with, or you felt like they could harm you, or
Oh, yeah,
in that kind of situation? And what
absolutely.
do you do when that transpires? How do you handle that?
Stay calm. Try not to show fear, because people like that, they thrive on fear. It's like an adrenaline rush to them. So I just stay calm and see how I can remove myself from the situation or remove them from the situation. So an example is when someone tried to rob me, and the title is "What Kind of Idiot Robs a Rideshare Driver?" Because we don't collect cash. We only collect it through the app. So we have no cash. And he tried to rob me, and then that didn't work out. So I pulled into an apartment complex and asked him if he was okay to leave there. And he said yes. And he didn't get out. So I grabbed my keys, I grabbed my phone, and I took off and called 911. And everyone's like, "You left your car?" I said, "Yep, I can replace a car. Can't replace me." And that is one thing to always think about. And a lot of drivers get in trouble with drunk riders. Okay. And they fall asleep in the car. And when they wake up, they are disoriented, right? Think about when you first wake up and how disoriented you are when you're sober. Can you imagine if you're drunk? So the riders will say, "This isn't where I wanted to go." Some drivers will argue with them, and that's resulted in a knife being pulled on them. I suggest waking them up a couple minutes before you get to where you're going. And if they say, "This isn't where I want to be," just give them a couple minutes to orient themselves. And I've asked the drunk riders, where would you like to go? Because 5 minutes out of my way is worth my life, Usually,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go on, continue.
Usually when they have a couple minutes to look around, they realize this is where they want to go, and then they leave. But you can't confront someone like that. It's like throwing gas on a fire. And because then drunk people tend to react in a way of they feel attacked, so they react to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what are some of the main points in the book, those nuggets that you want people to really pay attention? I know you told us about, some of the other things about the license plates and so forth. Is the picture shown on the apps and everything of the people that are going to be riding with you? But what are some of the main nuggets that you want people to pull from this book?
Their safety, for sure, and how to stay safe. I've had people get into the biggest danger is people getting into the wrong car. I had a 13-year-old girl get into someone else's car, and the woman tried to take her. the only saving grace is that she didn't fit the description. Though that was really scary. And I did write about that in my book. And she came up, and her mom had booked the ride and didn't tell her anything about me. Not my license plate number, not my car, not my anything. Right. So she got in, she saw a woman, she got in the car, she felt safe because she was female. And the woman took off speeding down the road, going the wrong way of what the girl had said. And luckily she did a U-turn after making a phone call. And yep, for more details, that's in the book, but it's very scary. Very scary if you get into the wrong car.
So what do you do, Yvette, when you have somebody and you know that it's also you have passengers that are probably disoriented or a little bit afraid? When you feel that anxiety, what do? You try to talk to them, you try to make them feel better. And then the other thing is, do you guys have a union? Do you have to have certain kind of insurance? How do they watch out for you guys? Because that would seem like something could happen like that any day.
So they okay. I will talk to people if that's what I feel that they want. Some people just want to stay quiet, and I'll ask them. I'll open up with some questions. How are you doing? You know, is the temperature okay in the car? And what can I do to make you feel more comfortable? I'll ask those. If I get one word answers, then I don't continue because I know they don't want to talk. Now, if they just start giving extra answers, then I know they want to talk. And it just, every situation is different. Every person is different. So I've learned how to feel for that, right? And see what best fits their needs. As far as a union goes, we don't have a union, but we have insurance. Each rideshare company has in their own insurance. And then we have, like, it's almost like a gap insurance because we have our personal insurance makes up for the amount that they don't cover. We are heavily insured. Trust me on that one. And as far as keeping us safe, they have, we can quietly push 911 and we're tracked at all times. So they know where we are all the time. So we hit 911, they are coming after us. They are coming to save us. And I've had to use that with, the coolest thing was when the guy robbed me and I went off into another building. I got into the parking lot and hid behind a building. I called 911 through Uber, should say rideshare. I called 911 through the app. And I had no idea where I was because I didn't take him to his destination. I wanted to get far away from him, right? So I didn't know where I was. When the operator asked me where I was like, I don't know. And I said, but I called you through the app. And she said, oh, so through the app, she was able to locate me and sent the cops. That was fantastic. So they do have our backs.
So do you have any people in there that are good-looking sports people that don't know anything about their craft, and you have to tell them what football is really about? Since you did, I'm just messing with you.
You know what's funny?
You know who I was talking about. Is one of us on this screen? I don't know. Is one of us on this screen? It's not me or you. Now you got a book signing coming up.
Yes, I do. Next Saturday at Barnes & Noble in One Loudon. And it's on May 28th, 1 to 4. And it would be awesome if everybody came out and had a good time because there are other local authors there as well. But to answer your question, to go back and answer your question.
Don't answer his question.
No, I am. Listen, I go to the Commanders practice in Ashburn, and I drop off the players there all the time. All the time.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I'm sure some of those conversations are interesting.
Yeah, because they always ask me if I've taken pictures of them.
Right, exactly.
So not a lot of you all yet. But what made you want to do this, and why? And do you really enjoy enjoy this a lot?
Writing or
no? As far as the service.
So rideshare, I love it because of the flexibility. What other job do you have where you can just put pause and you can go have lunch with your friends or go do anything that you need to and then just click back on and go, right? And you make your own hours. and it pays better than if I were stuck in a schedule. And I can't imagine being stuck in a schedule after doing this. So that part I do like. I am burning out a little bit on driving because I drive 10,000 miles a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I want to know about one of those funny stories because I know we heard about a lot of the scary stories and everything, but I know there are some hilarious stories for you to tell.
Well, this is one of my favorite. It's called Operation Ice Cream Drop, and it's about an 11-year-old girl. Okay, so I did delivery for a while during COVID, and I picked up. I got a request to pick up some ice cream and deliver it. Actually, this was prior to COVID. So I picked up some ice cream, and on the way to her house, she said, "Please don't knock on the door or ring the bell. If my grandma finds out that I ordered ice cream, she'll kill me." I said, "Wait a sec, is grandma going to hit me with a broom?" And she said, "No, but don't get caught."
Right.
She said, "Go around to the other side." So I'm trying to be all stealth like, and it had just turned, it was like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and it was starting to get dark, right? She had one bush in her yard and I could see her in the window. So I'm like, oh, this would be awesome if I could do somersaults through the grass and try and be all cool, right? To deliver this package all secretly. But I crouched down and hid behind the bush and I could hear her giggling.
Oh my gosh, you're hiding behind bushes.
Yeah, because I was just playing along with her because because it was fun, right? And I ended up handing her the ice cream through the window. And how cute is she? She couldn't be more than 11, and she handed me some dollar bills, and she's like, "This is from my allowance." And I was like, "This is the sweetest thing."
I can't believe you took her allowance.
I took her allowance. Well, she wouldn't take no. She's like, "Here," and she was so proud that she could do it. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I just want to know whose account that was on."
Right.
Find out later,
Quber
and again, Quber Wisdom is so key for people to pick up. It's a book that, ride sharing that people need to read about the safety tips and all of that. The book signing is May the 28th from 1 to 4. And it's at Barnes and Noble, and the address is running across the screen. So, Yvette, it's been great kicking it with you again. Much success on your book. And Tony, she said that she's coming home to take pictures for us again this year.
So that means we'll have you on the show many more times. And Yvette, it's good to have you back.
It was great
seeing you. Still look the same. I tell you what, when I last saw you, I didn't have this white beard, but when you got a co-host, you got to explain everything to your beard turns white quick.
For sure. Yeah.
But no, Donna and I,
gray hairs.
We looking for stories such as yours. And I got one more question.
Okay.
Have you made any friends that are still your friends from riding them?
I have.
I would figure that.
And they come to my book signings. They've come to my last book signing. They're very supportive. Yes, I did. And when you pick up the same people over and over again, you do build a bond. And so I do. I still have people that I keep in touch with. Mm-hmm.
But ladies and gentlemen, make it to the book signing. As you see, May 28th, 1 to 4. Yvette, you'll see someone that has filmed the professionals and have worked with the old people. But it's so good having you back. And we look forward, Yvette, and I'm looking for you. This season will be started before you know it, but we'll have you back on and see how the book signing going and everything else.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It was great seeing y'all.
Well, Tony, that was Yvette. She spent 6 years with you, and she's coming home this year to be with the Washington Commanders. But Tony, I thought it was kind of like funny that she said that some of her, I guess, the riders is the Washington Commanders players in taking them to practice.
Yeah, and that's who I was talking about when I talk. You ride people that don't know anything about the game. I ain't gonna say that low, but it seems like it's interesting. We joke a lot about it and anything, but that is a job. Whereas you have to really look at people and think about what the thought success could be, but you can't go overboard. And I always think about that. I think about that about the drivers. If I get in an Uber or something, here's a person driving me that I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, Tony, it's a scary situation because it used to be the taxi drivers. You think about when it was the taxi drivers where people used that service a lot, and you didn't even have their pictures. You know, when you do these driving services, at least you have the picture of the person that's picking you up, and then you've got their license plates on the screen and everything that comes up when they're picking you up. But when you think of way back when the taxi drivers, you was just jumping in and you were in the back, and it's almost like a police car, and you didn't have any of those things that you've got now. So it's a scary situation out there. But I think her book is going to be great to just educate you a little bit more, because I was thinking about the license plates and some of the other things, and I'm always afraid, being a female, to get into those cars still, because you just said it. You don't know who these people are.
Speaking of not knowing who people are, very quickly, let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. I know, are you over them not being in it? A lot of people are going around saying now that LeBron broke the team up, which I don't think he did. I think it just did. Look at him. You look all the way around the league down there, and we joke a lot about a lot of things, but every one of the superstars who have been superstars the last 10 years had some time this year when they were hurt. And that's all father time. But like they said, and you know what?
I think it was management. I think it was management and not so much LeBron. They brought LeBron in to win championships. It was a quick fix that, you know, it's almost like instead of building a team for years of success, almost like Golden State is doing right now, the Lakers tried to build a team quickly to win with the aging LeBron. Not that he wasn't on top of his game still, but nowadays, you know, he's not the same LeBron as far as just because of the injuries and all of those things. That does not keep him on the court all the time during the season. But I think, though, the management was the one that was at fault with this, because they brought in all these players even last year to try to win the championship, and to me it was more of a bust. I told people when the season started that this was not going to be a happy marriage, and it was not. And now the Lakers have to figure out maybe changing management again. Of the great Jerry West, that used to be the general manager for the Los Angeles Lakers, was the key to their success in building championship teams. And when he left, it seemed like it was never the same. They hit and missed at times and won a couple of championships, but never been the Lakers as they were before. But I bleed gold and purple. But this Lakers team needs to revamp and get it right soon. But the Golden State Warriors are in it, you know, right now. The team seem to beat over Dallas. They're up 2-0 right now. And then on the eastern side, you got Boston and Miami, and you know that's a good series right now. That's tied at 1-1. But as you say, Tony, the Lakers are suffering right now, and it's hard to watch my Lakers.
Yeah, and you put a time mark on their back where you ran over them too, but at the same time,
I just told the truth.
You just told the truth, but I tell you what. When we come back in a couple of weeks, when we're talking about it, we'll know who the champions is. I think Boston has a really good shot, but it just seems like some days that if they don't have their whole complement of players, it doesn't happen. So this year, and I'm going to just tell you this before we get off the air, it's not as good of a playoff without LeBron in there. And then when you look at the stats they had on ESPN the other day, where he got more assists, more points than anybody in the league over this career. And at his age, he could have led the league in scoring if he wanted to, but it's just simply amazing. I just hope they can get a complement of players to help him for the next year or two. They say that he may want to stay in and play until his son play, but I just like seeing great players. But one thing I do know is father time.
Tony, you just got it wrong. You just got it wrong with basketball, because even with LeBron not being in there, if you watch that Golden State team, that's the team to watch.
Come on. I'm going to tell you what. You talk all that crap, Golden State, if they mess around and get somebody that got enough big men, they can't play them.
They may not be able to play. I mean, Memphis gave them a run for their money, because Memphis is going to be a team to watch coming up. They've got a young group of guys and whatever that can play. But right now, you're not going to get past all the teams in the playoffs right now. Golden State is going to be the champs when it's all said and done. And you can mark my word for that, Tony.
And ladies and gentlemen, Boston will beat Golden State if Golden State gets to the finals.
Well, Tony, it's time for us to wrap it up and say we will see you later, and we'll come back next week when we talk about those OTAs.
And we always going to keep a lot of things to talk about because we just like Father Time. We can't be stopped. We'll be back in a week. See you later, Hop.
Later in a minute.
In a minute.